Thank you. My name is Dan Jansen. I'm the chair of the Planning and Development Committee. I'd like to apologize for the short delay that we had setting up the meeting today. We will get started. I'll call the meeting to order. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we have no public meetings. We have 2 delegations today. Please be advised that in accordance with Council's procedural bylaw, no decision will be made on the delegations. The committee will do one of the following: that the matter be referred to staff for a report, that the matter be referred to the mayor for consideration during the budget, or take no action. Our first delegation, D1, Nicole Carpenter from Georgian Bay Forever.
Good morning. I'm just going to share my screen for a presentation I have. Okay, hoping everyone can see this. Please let me know if you cannot see my screen. Good morning, everyone, Mayor and Council. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation today. I'm Nicole Carpenter, the Science Projects Manager at Georgian Bay Forever. And I'd like to start off by thanking the Township for their support last year. And I'm going to go through a bit of what we did with that and move on to our request for 2026. So we are an environmental charity with a mission to protect, enhance, and restore the aquatic ecosystem of Georgian Bay by taking action and funding accredited research on water levels, water quality, and ecosystems. Just a quick reminder about invasive Phragmites. It was rated as Canada's worst invasive plant. It's found all across Ontario, all across Canada as well. And it's a perennial reed grass that outcompetes all native vegetation and has no natural predators. It completely takes over wetlands, shorelines, roadsides, and almost all habitats, posing a threat to not only the natural environment, but human safety and the economy. This here shows the current status of invasive Phragmites in Matchedash Bay within the Township of Severn. Different colors are representing different levels of control of these patches. Aside from the blue, which is representing native Phragmites, we just, again, a quick reminder, native Phragmites does not pose a threat to the environment. We do not need to control it, but we do like to keep track of its whereabouts and make sure that it's not being threatened by the invasive Phragmites. But the rest, the red points are sites that are left untreated. Yellow are sites that have been cut by our staff in 2025. And then the green are sites that we continue to monitor because they are eradicated, meaning that we've seen zero regrowth at these sites. Each year, we do find new sites. So we've been working in Matchedash Bay since 2021, but we're finding new sites every year, not necessarily meaning that the Phragmites is spreading rapidly. It just means that we have been able to spend more time and detail in our surveying. The main takeaway from these charts is that green slice, the sites that are in that monitoring stage, is either increasing in the earlier years, and then now is kind of staying the same. So that's a good sign. It means that our efforts are working. The patches that we've removed are not coming back, which is the goal. Each year, we've doubled the number of stands that move into that monitoring stage. Though this past year, we did face a barrier to our control, so the actual removal of the Phragmites, we still were able to do quite a bit of cutting in Matchedash Bay, but we did have extremely low water levels in Georgian Bay, which poses a bit of a challenge to the removal efforts. Just without having Phragmites growing in the water, our technique is different and it takes longer to do. So that was a little bit of a challenge that we faced all across Georgian Bay with Phragmites management this year. Though with that being said, we still hired 2 summer students that spent time doing this Phragmites management and monitoring, as well as some turtle monitoring in and around Matchedash Bay. We also worked with the MTM Conservation Association to put some new and updated signs around the wetland at various trail entrances. So these signs provide information about the area itself. It has trail maps. It has information of what you can and can't do in Matchedash Bay. So for example, not having four-wheelers in certain areas or things like that. These signs have our logo, MTM's logo. They have the Township of Severn logo on them, as well as other, the SSEA, the Severn Sound Environmental Association, Ducks Unlimited, and the Ontario government. These are all organizations that we partner with or have received funding from to help put up these signs and do the work that we do. Some of these signs also include, like this one on the far right here, has an additional invasive Phragmites information sign specifically to educate the community about invasive Phragmites. And then there's also contact information for Georgian Bay Forever. If people do spot invasive Phragmites when they're out hiking or if they're out hunting in the area, they can report it to us. And there's also an opportunity on there for members of the community, if they're interested in volunteering for invasive Phragmites removal or wildlife monitoring, which encompasses the turtle monitoring that's done in the bay. So a large part of the turtle monitoring program is conducted during nesting season, which is in June. So our team this year purchased a bunch of nest protectors from the Ontario Turtle Conservation Centre, and we use them along Lawson Line, which goes right through the wetland. And we do see a lot of turtle traffic in that area. So on the left here, this turtle nest protector, this shows success. So that hole in the bottom, at the bottom of the image there, that's evidence that turtles hatched and left left the area, and they were able to get out of the nest protector and hopefully make it to nearby water. So we placed a few of those along Lawson Line, and we've been checking them this fall because this is when they this time of year is when the hatchlings emerge. Another component of our work around the Phragmites project is actually some research on the growth and spread of Phragmites within the cattail marshes. And we've been monitoring, surveying this now. This will be the second year in a row via aerial surveying over these marshes. So I don't have results specifically on this yet since we are in the midst of it. But so that picture, this image on the right here, is showing kind of how our aerial surveying is able to easily pick out large invasive Phragmites patches. This is from last year, so we're redoing this flight again this year, and what we want to do is quantify how fast and how much these patches are spreading in the wetland. But like I said, we don't have too much information on that yet because we're in the midst of it. But we have covered about 300 kilometers squared of aerial surveying over these marshes. And these marshes are almost impossible to access by foot or by boat. So that's why we are doing aerial surveying. So these funds have allowed us to hire local students, purchase equipment, host cutting events and attending events. We, as I mentioned, we mapped Phragmites location by foot or by boat in June, as well as doing our turtle monitoring. And then we perform all of the cutting activities in July and August. And then in the fall, we are monitoring again for any turtle hatchling activity. And then we are doing our aerial surveying. The rapid growth and spread of Phragmites is why we need to continue our work in Matchedash Bay. As mentioned, it does take multiple years of removal before a site is completely eradicated. So it's not just a one and done. It's year after year of sites getting smaller and eventually being eradicated. Any sites left untreated do pose a risk to becoming larger and spreading throughout the bay. As you know, Matchedash Bay is a popular destination for hikers, hunters, and anglers due to many of the fish and bird species that use the area. Many species at risk are in the area, as well as recreational boaters, canoeists, and so on. So our request to the Township of Severn for 2026 is that of $5,000 to continue our progress in Matchedash Bay. In addition to Georgian Bay Forever matching this support, it will be used for hiring our summer students to map, conduct removal activities, work with and train community members, and continue the turtle protection work that we have been doing. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Thank you very much, Ms. Carpenter. Are there any questions or comments from the committee? Member Taylor?
Thank you for the report here and with great work you're doing. And I certainly would support putting this to our budget.
Thank you.
Member Cox?
Yeah, through the chair to Nicole. Nicole, the whole part of educating community and conduct removal activities, is it possible that someone could come to educate like a group, like a Lions Club or a club, and show them how to do that? Because I know in Coldwater, we have a terrible amount of them just as you're coming into Coldwater from Highway 12. It's Highway 12 on Southhorn Road, and they're expanding all the way along the ditches along Southhorn. And I know that the Lions Club in Coldwater has a date that they do a community, and they used to pick up garbage and stuff, but I think this might be even better idea to show them how to do that. And then maybe the members, wherever they live, they can. Anyway, I just wondered if there was something that I could contact you later, or you could get hold of me and we could maybe work together on it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right up our alley of what we would do for sure.
Okay, because that's great, because it really has, like, I mean, you know where it is. You can hardly see like the highway from it, and it's probably becoming a sightline problem too for the township. Okay, thank you.
Member Brennan?
Thanks.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you for your presentation and the excellent work that you guys do. Two questions. For the manually treated areas, what is stopping the introduction of the invasives once you've treated them?
Do you mean by them growing back, or by new invasive species coming in?
No, by them coming back in, growing back in. Like it seems so aggressive, and yet these areas you're saying it's not coming back. I don't understand what's causing that.
Yeah, so over time, we've had, we do a few years of repetitive removal. And what that technique involves is cutting the Phragmites below the water line. It has a hollow root system, and the water will drown out the root system. Year after year, what we see is the patch gets smaller, less dense. So you're kind of weakening the plant. And then eventually it's at a point where it's so weak, it's not able to grow back again. So you're working to kill the root system. And then once we see no regrowth, then we do continue to monitor it, because there is a possibility that one little stalk could come back up again. We'll monitor a site for 3 years to ensure that there's no regrowth. And then at that point, it's considered eradicated, and there shouldn't be any regrowth further.
Thank you. That's great. Supplementary then, your aerial surveys, is that with drones?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from the committee? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, we have a motion.
Motion reads that the delegation from Nicole Carpenter, Georgian Bay Forever, regarding the 2026 budget request and update be received and referred to the mayor for consideration during the budget.
Could I get a mover and seconder? Member Taylor, Member Brennan, all in favor? Carried. Thank you, Ms. Carpenter.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the next delegation, we have Scott Denis, Program Manager of the Child and Youth Advocacy Center, Simcoe, Muskoka.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Honorable council members, your worship, Deputy Mayor. I will be brief. I'm here representing the Child and Youth Advocacy Center of Simcoe, Muskoka, the CYAC-SM. We have a physical location on West North Street, about 5 minutes away from here. We have one in Barrie, and we service all of Simcoe, Muskoka. So in a nutshell, what we do, we support children and youth ages 0 to 24 in Simcoe, Muskoka, and specifically Severn Township, who have witnessed or experienced violent crime. So sexual abuse, physical abuse, and human trafficking. So we are one of the main support centers that not only facilitates the investigations at our center with MDTs, detectives, medical professionals, and counselors, but we also provide court support for these children and youth when they have to go testify and talk about the hardest thing that's ever happened to them. We support them through that entire process as well. So I'll give you the 3 main areas of what we do and then a couple statistics. So we work very closely with Aurelia OPP. I'm a part of some platoon meetings. We go every couple of months and we speak to the platoons. There's a detective constable there, Kat, who is one of our biggest supporters for the Aurelia OPP. She's one of our biggest champions. And we are part of an RCRC oversight committee at Aurelia OPP headquarters, where we provide oversight to the OPP on sexual assault cases once a month and give our input on how they're handled. So essentially what happens when a child or youth is abused or witnesses abuse or has experienced trafficking and disclosure has to be made, they are referred to our center through police directly or child protection. So as opposed to a child going to a police station to talk about the hardest thing that's ever happened to them. And we love our police partners, but as we know, sometimes that environment is not the most trauma informed for these children who are already max traumatized. Our center exists to facilitate everything that them and their non-offending family members needs. So instead of the police station, they come to our center, to our interview rooms. We meet them with advocates that we have that are not child protection and not police. They are simply the navigator for the child and for the family to start navigating the system as opposed to having to journey it alone. So we meet the child at our center. We have snacks. We have a couple dogs. These are our therapy dogs that are trained in deep tissue massage, anxiety, alleviating anxiety for these children. We have toys at the center, and we essentially welcome them in, and the detectives come to our center to investigate and do the investigation. We know that children are 3 times as likely to disclose abuse or trafficking if the investigation is done at our center. It's recorded there on site as child protection and detectives interview them in tandem. And the child only has to tell their story once. Once they've done it at our center, it's recorded, it's uploaded to evidence.com, to the OPP. And that's it. They never have to talk about it again if they don't want to. And that's used in the court proceedings, in the investigation process, that video, and then we help the child and family navigate the system from there. So we provide immediate counseling in the interim before they can find long-term counseling. We not only counsel the children on site, but also the non-offending family members who are also affected by this. And then we have a couple youth groups. One of them is Common Ground up there in the top right, and all these pictures are not stock photos. They are directly from our center. That's Moose, one of our therapy dogs, who is working today. And we offer some support groups for some of the children that come through our center that have done investigations. So Common Ground is one that we run in Aurelia and Barrie. These are 7-week sessions for girls aged 12 to 18 that are at risk of gender-based violence. They've been through our center as survivors of abuse or trafficking. We feed them. We pay for their transportation to get to us to the Aurelia and Barrie centers because, as we know, many families face barriers to transportation. And we teach them about things like safety, gender-based violence, consent, social media safety, and these are 7-week support groups for the females that come through. We are working on a grant right now to start one for the boys, because as we know, boys can sometimes be left behind. So we're really working hard on that. Unfortunately, all our funding comes through writing grants every week and going to do presentations as well. The third component of our organization is the court support program. So when a child has to go to court to testify, we support them and the family throughout the entire process. So we are a non-duplicating service. The counseling we provide is not intended to be long-term. It's just if these children are facing a waiting list. No other organization provides the facilitation of the direct investigation that we do with the children at our center. Although there are other youth groups that operate for survivors of abuse, our court support system is intricate in that we prepare the children for the court process and the family. We help navigate, we give them updates, and we're there for moral support with the dogs all the way through to sentencing. So it's fully wraparound service. You can go. So next slide, please. Thank you, Allison. So the dark reality. Ontario proportionally has the largest sex offender registry in all of Canada. This is proportionate. In Simcoe County, the rates for human trafficking are just over three times higher than the rest of Canada. We are in one of the pipelines between Toronto and Sudbury with the highest human trafficking rates. We are getting busier. Every year we are busier. Last year we saw 800 people in total, children and youth. The majority of youth that I see in our Aurelia Center that come from all over Simcoe County, including Severn Township, in the last 4 months have been between the ages of 8 and 12. So 1 in 3 and 1 in 5 boys experience an unwanted sexual act before the age of 18. And the one that stuck out for me was that a quarter of abuse cases are under the age of 12. Obviously, the best thing we could do would be to invent a time machine, go back in time and erase what's happened to these children. This is the second best thing we can do for them. Instead of having to navigate this horrible journey alone, we are there for them. And we are asking for support from the municipalities that we directly impact and for the children that we directly serve. This year alone, we've seen dozens of children and youth from Severn. Our Aurelia Center is 5 minutes from here, and we are asking for support from Aurelia. Last year, they gave us about $45,000. They were one of the only municipalities that did. This year, I'm going to ask for a little bit more, and this year I'm going around to Midland. Springwater has offered $10,000 for 2 years. I'll be presenting at Innisfil, Barrie, Ramera, etc. We do only receive funding through grants and through donations, but we know that children are not only 3 times as likely to disclose at our center, but that the first 30 days of this child or youth's journey will dictate whether or not they become an offender themselves, whether or not they're on a path to become a productive member, healthy member of society, or whether or not they will be reoffended against. So we are at the start of the children's healing journey. And we say 0 to 24 because as tough as this is, the children that come in, as long as they are verbal and they are coherent, they are being interviewed. And as we know that could be 4 or 5 years old, sometimes we have kids in our center. Next slide, please. And next one. This slide illustrates how much busier we are getting, but I know I'm probably pressed for time and I'd like to take questions. So we are respectfully requesting $10,000. But honestly, I would take any amount of money. It does not matter to us. As we get busier, we are a staff of 6 to cover all 10,000 square kilometers of Simcoe County. Our court support program is run by 2 wonderful women who have all of Simcoe, Muskoka, and they have about 125 cases each that they work on. So more funding would allow us to expand our mobile service. And I'll finish with this. Our mobile service is for families that cannot get to our Aurelia and Barrie centers. Families that are not able to get to us, we go to them. We have a vehicle. We have mobile recording equipment that's integrated with the police service. And the police, the mental health professionals, the medical professionals from soldiers, our advocates, we go to the children. A lot of times this will not be at the home. This will be at a new path center that we have memorandums of understanding with. These could be at YMCAs. We work very closely with fellow organizations to use their centers as well, should the families or children not be able to come to us. I am asking for the Township of Severn to help us continue to help more children affected by this in the township, essentially. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Denis, for your presentation and for the work that you do. Are there any questions or comments from the committee? Member Minnings?
Hi, thank you through the chair. Thanks for your presentation and coming today. I have a couple questions. What's your relationship with Children's Aid Societies? And I may have missed that. I remember you speaking about your relationship with OPP and investigations.
Yeah. We work extremely close with Simcoe Muskoka Family Connections. They've rebranded their name to sound a little bit more friendly and less threatening. We work very closely with them. So any child that comes through our center is referred either through Simcoe Muskoka Family Connections, Child Protection, or police, and both are always on site. So both are always on site during the investigations. We have a very close relationship with them. We just participated in their Steps for Safety walk. But we also, because we don't just do investigations, for example, the poor girl that drowned in Tiny from Aurelia, the police used our center in child protection to interview all the children that had witnessed that. So with Simcoe Muskoka Family Connections, we are very, very close, and we're actually moving in next door to them in the Berry Center soon.
And subsequent question, can I ask what your operating budget was last year? I know you've given some examples
Yeah.
of what certain municipalities have
Yeah.
donated, for example. I'm just curious as to, and you've got a staff of 6 now,
Yes.
a vehicle, et cetera. So it sounds like you're looking for some expansion money too. So is that something you could share?
I could. It's about, and please don't quote me on this exact number, as my executive director would have the financials better than I would, but it's close to about 900,000. The additional money we're requesting is simply to offer more, to be able to expand our hours when it comes to mobile investigations, and to reach more people. We just don't have the capacity to see everybody at the moment.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions from the committee? Seeing none, I believe we'd like to refer the matter to the mayor for consideration during the budget.
Okay, the motion reads that the delegation by Scott Denis, Program Manager for Child and Youth Advocacy Center, Simcoe Muskoka, regarding a 2026 budget request be received and referred to the mayor for consideration during the budget.
Can I get a mover and seconder, please? Member McIntyre, Member Minnings, all in favor? Carried.
Thank you. And lastly,
you.
I would like to offer any of you to come take a tour of our center. We would be more than happy.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to the consent agenda. Are there any members of the committee that would like to pull an item from the consent agenda? Member Taylor?
Yeah, and maybe somebody else will have it too, but I've asked for E 2.4 and E 2.7.
Member Cox?
Yeah, through the chair, I would just like to ask a question about E 2.2. The letter from the Office of the Solicitor General, the cost recovery model. Are we finding out more information? It does say in there we will get more information, but last year I know we had them come to talk to us, and we were the only municipality that asked. So I was wondering, is that something we could do? And should I pull it if I ask that question?
Madam CEO?
Through the chair. I don't know if you need to pull it to ask that question. I don't think so. I'm assuming we'll get more information because it's pretty broad and we really don't know what our costs will be. And the mayor had already asked us is what the 11% is tied to. Was it last year's increase? Was it the total? And no, it's not really clear. So we have no idea. I'm sure we could ask them to come if you wanted to. I don't know. I don't remember honestly who we had last year. We had the inspector.
Mm-hmm. Well, the only reason I'm asking is it's not something I ask at the OPP board I'm on because that's not their mandate. So we have to go somewhere else to get our information. So if you find it, I'm sure we'll get more information, but if it comes down to it, I would like to do what we did last year and have them come because it is kind of a coagulated effort to tell us why they are getting what they're getting and how it's changed. I'm sorry, but okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other members? Member Burkett?
Through the chair, 2.6, please.
Any other? Seeing none, Madam Clerk? We're moving to the adoption of the regular agenda.
Yes, so the motion reads that the agenda be adopted, including consent items, with the exception of item number E 2.4, E 2.6, and E 2.7.
Could I get a mover and seconder, please? Member Brennan? Member Taylor? All in favor? Carried. Okay, moving on to reports from officials. G.1, presentation from Sean Kelly, project lead, and Kelsey Moore, studio lead from Plural. The Coldwater Fairgrounds Master Plan and Recreational Report, number R25-012. Go ahead, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sean Kelly. I'm from Plural. I'm here with my counterpart, Kelsey Moore today, and we're happy through you, the chair, and to the committee to make a presentation on the Township of Severn Coldwater Fairgrounds Master Plan. I'm going to ask Kelsey to share her screen, and she'll get the presentation up for you.
One sec.
And here we go.
Can you see that okay? Full screen?
Good for me. Oh, we've lost you again, Kelsey.
Okay, let me try again. Is that okay?
That's great. Thank you, Kelsey. So as I mentioned, we're going to be speaking about the Coldwater Fairgrounds Master Plan, and you could change slide, Kels. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of the plan, I'd just like to say a thank you. There was 3 of us that worked exclusively on this project, myself as project or team lead, with Kelsey in the studio leading with Alex doing some support. But special thanks to Craig, Colton, Tracy, who helped guide us through the process, certainly on behalf of the township. And a special thanks certainly to the participants of the Severn community who we had some engagement pieces with, and that seemed to be quite a good piece for us. We're going to break this down. I'm going to talk a bit about the introduction and certainly the process. Kelsey will then take it over and talk about the details related to the engagement and the concept, and then I'll take it back and talk about the document itself, the master plan components, the phasing, the budget, and I'll summarize it all for you. Just a little bit about us as we get going. We're a landscape architectural planning and design firm. We call ourselves design planners. We do all kinds of different types of work, certainly for rural communities and small towns and their landscapes. We've been doing this for, well, it's over 25 years now, over 20 years, closer to 25. This is the type of work we choose to do and look to do. And we like to say we're specialists with rural communities. We can push ahead, Kelsey, please. So the background purpose of this, we know that the Severn Recreation Master Plan in 2022 identified the need for the Fairgrounds Master Plan. Obviously, a population growth, the need for more recreational opportunities, and certainly the fantastic fair and well-attended fall fair that you folks have. We thought, this project should really be about a master plan that would help work towards a vision for the fairgrounds. A place, vibrant outdoor multi-use gathering place and space, enhancement of existing facilities, and the creation of new recreational amenities. Inclusivity and accessibility for all peoples of ages and backgrounds, abilities and interests. Obviously, sustainable design is at the forefront these days. If you can get some green initiatives in there and strategize to minimize our footprint and ecological impact of development operations, that's always a good thing. But what we really want was a design space that residents, the guests, the event operators, your visitors, and certainly township staff would be proud of. So our process is really a 6-phase process. We're going to show you 2 slides here. We started back last November, about a year ago, I guess, and moved into a data collection and analysis in phase 1. That takes us to background research on what's happened in the past, any documents that are available, other plans, obviously a site visit. We analyze this database, the inventory that we create. We create a foundation section that really supports what we're doing next. Phase 2 is to kind of use some of this information to tease out some engagement from different community members, identified interviewees. We had 10 of those. We had an online survey, a couple of those, and a couple of open houses as well. That then kind of builds on that foundation sections and supports it, and certainly tells us if we're getting it right or getting it wrong, what are we missing, and we create a great community engagement summary section for our document. We move into needs assessment. We look at other municipalities, towns and townships, and look and see how they're doing their fall fairs and their recreation. We obviously are looking at the current recreational needs for the township in Coldwater, and certainly anything in the future. We do a bit of a SWOT analysis, and then we will develop and build out our needs assessment section in that report. We got to that point fairly quickly. You can push ahead, Kels. So phase 4 had us then go into the facility and program recommendations. What are the programming priorities that we want to see in which facilities, and what are new facilities that may be happening? Conceptual designs, working out that and getting it teased out to a final agreeable site plan for itself. It provides a great facility and program recommendations section in the document. And obviously, you know, designs and plans are only as good as their implementation. So what are the actionable steps? So in phase 5, looking at those things, who are responsible for those? A bit of a timeline and phasing of this. And, you know, the budget or the cost estimate that is associated with this are always very, very important. And that allows us to get to the implementation section, where phase 6 really is where we're at today. We do the presentation of what we call a draft final document for the Coldwater Fairground Master Plan. It's a consolidation and an opportunity to review what's been done in the past, and bringing it to council and certainly to this committee is important for us, obviously important for you to see what we've done. And now I'll hand it off. There's some detail that will come now. I'll hand it off to Kelsey to talk a bit about engagement and the concept.
Thanks, Sean. So like Sean said, about a year ago, we had started this process and we kicked off with a very thorough site visit. And this is just a small collection of images, but as you can see, the site is already an amazing asset to Coldwater and Severn. We inventoried, so we zoomed out and we looked at the regional context. We looked at surrounding public parks in Severn. We looked at other local fairs happening around the area. We zoomed in just a little bit more and we looked at the local context. So we looked at some of the neighboring properties to the site and connecting routes and trails, as well as community events that occur in the area. And then at the site level, we have the inventory here on the screen where we looked at specific site facilities and amenities and programming and events on site. Coldwater Fall Fair being a large part and something that we took care to design for. So we engaged, and some of the events and initiatives that we did were interviews with various interest holder groups, such as staff, council, and other local groups. We did 2 open houses, one before the design process and one after the design process, as well as corresponding surveys with those open houses to gain input at appropriate stages of the project. The promotion and communication tools that we used to promote these events with the help of the township was a dedicated webpage, various news releases, some social media posts, and making use of the screen outside of the community center, as well as placing comment cards and surveys at various physical locations around the township. So we heard from township staff and council. We also did a presentation to the Culture and Recreation Advisory Committee to gain input at that point. We talked to community groups such as the Coldwater Village BIA, the Coldwater Curling Club, and the Coldwater Agricultural Society. Of course, we also talked to residents and visitors and heard from them through the survey and spoke to many people in person at the open houses, including individuals associated with the fall fair. So some emerging themes that we heard throughout this engagement process, in no particular order, but of course the fall fair being one very important aspect to design for this site. It's important to cherish the fall fair and make sure that we're organizing and considering the layout of the fall fair in our design. We heard there's a need for organizing and increasing parking capacity on site. Accessibility, improving entrances and pathways so that all users can get to the amenities throughout the site. Safety and security, we take care to use environmental design to prevent any unwanted behaviors on site. Gathering spaces and greenery, we heard that there needs to be more covered seating and shade trees just to have a bit more of a comfortable environment as families are watching and gathering around some sports activities. Facilities and maintenance, washroom upgrade was very prevalent through the input in our survey, as well as improved drainage, just to name a few. And then we heard that there's a need for a place to cool down, so a splash pad or water play facility on site would be appreciated. And then sports and recreation is also a big piece to this design to ensure that the site is usable year-round. So that would include upgrading any outdated facilities or adding any new facilities, such as pickleball, an outdoor rink, and ball diamonds. And then last but not least, an off-leash dog area. We heard that there is a need for a designated space for pets on site. So we took all of that valuable input from the community and we developed 3 concepts. So the concepts vary in levels of change to the site. So concept 1 is the most similar to the existing site, with only necessary improvements. And then concept 3 was more of like a complete redesign. And so concept 2 landed kind of somewhere in the middle. And concept 2 ended up being the most favorable site. So we took feedback at this point and used that to refine a final hybrid concept, if you will. So we refined a final site plan, and some of the emerging themes that I had just spoken about are shown here in this final concept. So to start, some of the existing fair amenities are existing and left as is. And then we use a lot of the existing infrastructure, but keep what's working, but improve what isn't working. So we've also increased parking capacity with paved and painted lots. We've increased accessibility throughout the site. So we've identified appropriate entrances and created a thoughtful circulation pattern through the site, including new walking trails. We've also included some upgraded facilities or new facilities. So there's a washroom and amenity building. So that would service a splash pad as well. And then an upgraded tower and concession combination building, as well as a township storage building up near the community center. And then as for the recreation throughout the site, there are upgraded and slightly reoriented ball diamonds on site, as well as a new pickleball court, the splash pad, the off-leash dog area, and walking trails. So the site plan is a big key piece to this project, but what we have really created is a full report with 6 key sections. So we use a balance of text, graphics, and photographs to capture all the existing conditions that we documented, our community engagement process, the assessment that resulted in our recommendations, and implementation strategies, including a budget. So the practical outcomes within this report include the proposed site plan that we just looked at, and an accompanying fall fair layout plan, which we have considered the staging areas and organization for the fall fair, as well as the facilities and programming recommendations. So we provided a list, each with a description and some design considerations to be able to be considered for when the project becomes implemented. And then we had also included a timeline and phasing plan. So we have a list of identified projects and each have an assigned priority to be implemented over the next 15 years. And then we have a budget estimate as well. These are estimated costs associated with each project. And we've also identified funding opportunities that may help the township leverage a lot of these projects. So project phasing, this is just a high overview of the project phasing list, which shows the project and the priority level. And then in the complete chart in the master plan shows more detail, which also includes information on the order of projects. So it'll show which projects depend on others. So the order we have them listed in here is a suggested order for the township. Of course, as funding becomes available, they can be implemented out of order, but we have provided suggestions on the appropriate order to implement them in, as well as associated funding opportunities with each project. And I will pass it off to Sean to talk about budget and wrap up. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelsey. So as our budgets work here, and as we look at kind of short, medium, longer range horizons, and certainly priorities that we suggest, we do understand that some of these things will be nuanced certainly by the activities of the township and needs and special projects or focus groups and those sort of things. The way we do budgets for this is really to provide what we see as conventional, match that with a premium, come up with a budget average and provide that to the projects themselves. I don't have to go through every project here, obviously, and you can see for yourself there's a pretty sizable number at the end of this, but I want everyone to understand that this is far out as well. And what Kelsey alluded to, getting into partnerships and that, there'll be some of these projects that are campaign projects, which I mean not necessarily only born through capital projects of the township. You might have partnerships with service groups or others. You might find other entities out there that want to support some of the programming and some of the facilities that may occur certainly on the fairgrounds. So this is an indication. I think it's a bit of a goalpost on many of the projects. It won't necessarily always land on this number. Depends on what's involved. If some of these numbers at the end of the day look a little light or a little heavy, and I'll speak to the light ones, it's because other parts of that same facility are undertaken, such as you might have something that's related to site servicing and the things that come up, for instance, when you look at a splash pad, an outdoor rink combo, and you're pushing $300,000, you'll say you'll never build one for that. But the servicing required for that is actually another portion, so that needs to be added to it, and that's also captured on here. So again, we were using budget averages based on our current experience between conventional and premium facilities and applications out there. We assign a number, we provide the budget value for you. You go back to the chart before that for project phasing and see where it lands as far as the priority. whether it's high, medium, or low, and that will be your goalpost going forward. And like I say, we also identify those budgets that are suitable to partnership or campaigns. Kelsey, I'll move on to the next one. So generally, and just to wrap this up, appreciate the patience on this. We obviously went to the site, we observed things, we looked at existing conditions, we've talked to a great number of people that include staff, council, interest groups, and the community itself. We shared this with the community to get their input on that. That helped us develop conceptual designs and led to a final site design. We recommend facilities and programming for that site. We also include the implementation strategy and budget for that, implementation strategy being the phasing. And now we have a full draft final report, Coldwater Fairgrounds Master Plan. And maybe we'll just leave that there. Thank you very much for having us and allowing us to speak to your project. And we can certainly entertain any questions or queries that need to be answered.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kelly and Ms. Moore. Are there any members of the committee that have questions or comments? Member Taylor?
Yeah, I'll start off. It's a great presentation here, but if you could go to your final site plan page, I have a couple of questions on your.
Yeah.
Thank you. Something's that is high concern in Coldwater is parking there. So I'm looking at the existing parking lot has 245. So the area on south and then on the west side has parking 45. Those are brand new spots. Is that correct? Proposed?
Yes.
Okay. And then in addition to that, the parking lot to the east there, which has 74 spots. So my question is, do we need a road to go from the west to the east to get to the parking lot? And what kind of like we need lights and something like that too. So that's my first question. Is that is that a new road being contemplated to get to that parking lot?
Yes, so there is a laneway there on the south end of the site, and it's where the existing infrastructure of the track is. And then there are also removable bollards, so you would still be able to control access at what times that parking lot could be used.
Okay, and then back to the parking. Is there any way of getting any more parking between the rink and the curling club? It's sort of been blocked off that it's not accessible. I'm just wondering why not.
I believe that would be more of an access route for the storage and emergency route. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, John.
No, I think you nailed it there. If we're going to put storage there, we felt that should be kind of a clear zone. The parking that would go in there would be nominal, I think, the gain on it. And if anything, it might incur maybe a behavior you don't want if you need emergency access or continued access to township storage. I mean, I can see the space there. It's not saying it can't happen, but certainly in our plan rendition, it didn't seem to come to the forefront.
Okay, just my other comment. The parking lot, the main parking lot there, how does that influence like when the midway and stuff gets installed there? Is that going to cause any damage with them installing their rides, and are they going to penetrate the asphalt surface there?
I can't say for sure it will not. I do know many midways that do occur on parking lots. They're pretty much rubber tired these days. That's how they're transported. They're brought in. They are stabilized. They're not always staked in, however. They're weighted and jacked. So my sense is right now, what we know in our experience, we see it happen on paved surfaces all the time. We're not hearing, it's absolutely destroying our paved environments at other locations. So I think I would err on experience and just say, it happens. Can't promise you it won't damage it in the end. Ultimately, different operators probably have different levels of impact, but the sense is it is something that's pretty routine.
And just in summary, I think it's a great plan. It's something we can keep as information. And I like that we are looking at possible solutions to the parking crisis in Coldwater. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments from the committee? Member Minnings?
I thank you through the chair. Thank you for the walkthrough of the presentation. When concept 2 was determined as the clear sort of preferred choice, there was some data beside it. 47% loved it as it was presented at that time. Then % liked it but needed some work, and 18% said not appropriate. Without going into too much detail, because I know you've worked with staff on this too, on those details. Can you give us an idea of what some of those comments might have been where they said they liked it but needed some work, or parts of what the original concept 2 the feedback said not appropriate? I'm just not clear what that could have been.
Kelsey, do you have that handy?
I don't have I can pull up the slide. I don't have the exact comments handy right now.
Can you recall what the like it but needs work areas were around, perhaps?
Yeah, so I believe that was a lot of the comments, well, not a lot of them. Some of them were pertaining the fair. So I think there was a lot of concern that with some of the changes to the site, that the fair activities couldn't happen as they could. So we had taken those comments and input into consideration, and made sure to address those in our design.
Mr. Belfry?
Just to add on that, Kelsey, if you go back to the site plan.
Yeah.
So in the grounds, one of the comments that wasn't originally liked was the way we had the layout for moving for the truck pull for the fair. So you track there, and what we've done is their issue was getting the trucks in and out of the fairgrounds in a one direction. So we've created, you can see the roadway that cuts through between the two ball diamonds. So that was brought out after that process. So it allows them to come in and out and exit out the other side of the property. So that was one of the major, we don't like this, because they couldn't get in and out. So.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for those comments. I really like the final plan, and I appreciate all the work that went into it. And my only feedback would be that because there was some time from when we were able to give initial feedback, et cetera, that just a general statement that part of the announcement or the communications more broadly that this is, if it is the final plan that we're working with, that, that some of the feedback be incorporated in that announcement so people know that their comments were taken into account, which we know that happens, but that's just been some of what I've heard. So great.
Any other members of the committee have comments? Member Cox?
Yeah. The other one was, the other issue was the dog park. And that's why we moved it up away from that whole area, because we thought it would be more chaotic, especially at fair time. And it was taking parking that is now down on that far right. We talked about that. I like it. I think it is very good. I can possibly see some adaptation when we finally can afford to do some things with it. The one thing I do see as being something that will happen, but not for a long time, is the concession stand and crossing the track when the poles are on. But we can adapt to all those things, and it's not a real issue. Most of it is something that we'll probably all look at and do what we can afford first. And with any luck, we can get a lot of this done for the people because they really are excited about this. I understand the fair has had some issues and probably may still, but you know what? If we all work together, it will work. And the fair is there for 4 days, and I'm sure we can all work around that and make sure it all works for their rings and putting them up and down for them. So I just want to thank you very much, and we'll see what happens as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the committee? Seeing none, I've got a few myself. I'm probably in the I love it column for the fairgrounds. This design looks amazing. I only have a couple of comments. First off, thank you for the parking lots. I think that's great to have access to parking, especially closer to the ball diamonds. We've heard a lot about accommodations or people needing accommodations that would like more access to the fairground. So that's perfect. Another pickleball court. I know it's extremely popular. That's huge. The dog park, of course, is great. I got a question though about the toboggan hill. Is if there's going to be a fence around the demolition derby area and a fence around the ball diamond, I do have a bit of a concern with children coming down that toboggan hill in either of those two directions. I'm not sure exactly how this looks to scale when it's actually put in place, but that could be a concern for us. And then another suggestion, I guess it's probably something we talked to Mr. Belfry about when it comes to budget time. But I see that in the budget line items that the walkways would be aggregate. Maybe a consideration that they be paved so that kids with scooters and such would be able to maneuver their way around the park in that manner. Very much appreciate the hard work that you put into this. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Belfry and Tracy and Colt as well. Member Cox.
Yeah, and I don't know how many people are watching, but I think it's important that we do thank our community, because I have to say, in all the years, except for Western Water and Sewer, this was probably our biggest crowd we had out to be concerned and look forward to this. It's been 10 years or more that we've been working on it, so it's nice that we now have a plan and we can work on it. And I would hope that many of the community members who utilize this would also consider volunteering or fundraising to help us with things. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Cox. Any further comments? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Motion reads that the Recreation Report R25-012 dated October 15th, 2025 regarding the Coldwater Fairgrounds Master Plan final draft be received for information, and that council approve the Coldwater Fairgrounds Master Plan.
Could I get a mover and seconder? Member Taylor, Member Cox, all in favor? Carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. There's two items that were pulled for discussion. Item E 2.4 Coldwater Curling Club. Member Taylor?
Thank you, Chair. So we've a few of us attended the a meeting there earlier this year at the curling club's doing great, and I would hope that we could support them with this request here.
Any members of the committee have questions? Member Cox?
No. I'll let the CEO speak first.
Madam CEO?
Through the chair, I always am the one that rains on your parade, and I'm sorry about that, but it does not fit within your grants policy. And we had a great conversation a week or so ago about if you don't like your policies, change your policies, but don't do one-offs. And we typically don't refund building permit fees. For example, on the same property, the fair board put up their pole barn and we did not, they didn't, I don't even think they asked, but they definitely paid their building permit fee. So it's not something that we typically do.
Member Cox?
Thank you. I understand and I agree with what Member Taylor said, but we set a precedent and there will be other ones coming forward, which I know we'll probably want. And we have a lot and we haven't done it. So I just don't think it's fair as the CAO that we didn't do it for one community group. We shouldn't do it for another.
Thank you. Any other comments? Member Burkett?
Thank you through the chair. And again, as much as I'd like to forgive it, there are a lot of organizations we have in the township. So I think it's $400 and I think they can afford it. The lands that they are on are ours, and they're a great organization. They're making money. They got a grant through the Children Fund, which allowed them to, they showed us when we were there, I think the rink, wasn't it the equipment to do the rink? Mm-hmm. And there's no harm in asking, but I think if we send them a letter and explain that we need to be fair and do the same for everyone in the township and not have these one-offs.
Any other comments? Seeing none, could we have a motion?
And I'm asking for council's direction, is the motion to deny the request or a motion to approve the request? It is Member Taylor that pulled the item, so I just need to know which motion council would like.
Member Cox?
I think we'll, if you want, you can try the first one, but I think if we deny, I think we've got 3 at least who have said deny.
Okay.
And I would appreciate if when the letter went, it did explain about the whole precedent setting and what we have done in the past. And this is just what it is, because we have a lot of organizations that build and do things and we don't give, decline all the permit costs.
Okay, so motion to deny then? Okay. So motion then reads that correspondence from the Coldwater Curling Club regarding a request for reimbursement of building permit fees be received and that the request be denied.
Could I get a mover and seconder, please? Member Brennan, Member Burkett, all in favor? Carried. I apologize, I misspoke. There was actually 3 items pulled from the consent agenda. We'll move on to the next item in line, item E 2.6. Member Burkett.
Thank you through the chair. So just to bring everyone up to speed, as of January the 1st, 2026, the recycling portion will no longer be picked up by the county of Simcoe. The province has hired a company called Pro, and I pulled it only to say that they won't be picking up any of the recycling from our businesses, from our township offices, any of the institutions. So I'm not sure. I'll just read you just a little expert I just got this morning from a resident in Mark's ward and Member Taylor's ward. And I won't read the whole thing. We would like to clarify. Well, I don't want it. Maybe they may not. Yeah, it is. Sorry, it's from Rob McCullough, who is in charge of waste management at the county. We'd like to clarify that effective January the 1st, 2026, the province is transitioning to a producer responsibility framework under which producers are now fully responsible for collection and management of blue box materials. As part of this transition, the province and its designated producer responsibility organizations called PROs will determine which properties are eligible to receive recycling services. The county will not have the authority over these determinations, nor will we be involved in the delivery or oversight of recycling services after the transition date. The county notes your concerns regarding the lack of information or clarity are valid, and in fact, these concerns are shared by the county. So again, here we go. As much as we like to support the province, they're going to take over something that wasn't broken, that they could have used and piggybacked at the county of Simcoe, but they've taken it upon themselves to farm it out so that it's producer responsibility. So this person has concerns because in Mark's wards, they get handed tickets, I guess, to drop off the recycling at the facility out in Matchadash, and they're unsure whether it's going to follow through. So there's uncertainty. So I, sitting here, can't even give you an answer. And I know that Member Jansen and Member McIntyre are going to be quizzed because of Main Street Washago and Main Street Coldwater. We're not sure yet, and I'm hoping there's some clarity before January 26th. I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention that there is some things that are uncertain.
Yeah.
Thank you. Member Brennan?
Yeah. I just love this stuff. What is the volume that isn't going to be collected that was previously collected? Do we know?
I don't think we know. And what we're told that because if you're, and it's only human nature, if they do not pick up your recycling, guess where it's going to go?
And but we just had conversations that we don't have landfill capacity.
Exactly. So
the stupidity around this decision just takes me to whole new places. It's unbelievable. I can't wait for the beer return thing to come up on January 1st. It's just, we get dumber every day in this province on stuff like this. It's appalling. That's all I can say.
Member Cox?
This isn't just the province, because the minister sent us a letter apologizing because he agreed with what the county wanted. This is the producers who said, "Oh, we're producer responsible. We'll do this. We'll pick up all this recycling that we cause and packaging." And then they saw the cost and they did this. And I know because we got a letter from the minister, and he said that he was disappointed that they wouldn't negotiate with the county. And it's 2,100 businesses in Simcoe County that get pickup now that won't get it. And the county has told us at the last meeting is that once, and I mean, this is all happening January 1st, and the county still has not got clarity on a lot of it, but they will be working with our communication staff and our staff, and they will be going out to BIAs and doing things because they honestly can't tell us because they don't know. And every time they ask a question, it turns around. Here's a prime example. The waste transfer site, we have our recycling bins. They said, Pro said, well, I don't know if businesses should be taking their recycling, and cottagers with permits should be taking their recycling and putting it in with the recycling that we take there. And then they turned around and said, well, I guess we could mix up recycling materials from a business compared to a home, which is a pop can that you buy, whatever, and it goes in the same spot. So now they've kind of waffling on that, but we still have no idea.
Member Burkett?
Thank you. Through the chair, just so to be proactive, what are we going to do here? Because we're going to get all these calls. So I'm not sure, and I don't need an answer now, but come January 1st, the first week, guess who they're going to phone? Well,
the question is, what are we going to do here?
That's what I'm asking. We're going to have to be prepared through customer service to sorry?
That's what the county said they were going to do. They would be coming to the townships and helping them with that.
Madam CEO?
Through the chair, we will definitely get lots of calls, but all waste management calls we direct to the county, and their staff will be trained up to handle it because we don't do waste management here.
Member Taylor?
But this physical location, though, we'll have to have a plan for here. Like, will we take our garbage and recycle to Site 8? Is that what we'll do?
Member Cox?
It's just recycle, not garbage. They still pick up the garbage and
Recycle then.
Yeah. So I don't know. The library has to figure out something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've heard that they still, if you have one bin, they take it. So we usually have one bin. So we're going to hope that they take one bin. And if they don't, then we'll have to figure it out like everybody else.
And I think in that letter that the mayor got, you probably will be okay because you've got one bin in a residential area. So they're going by anyway. So this is how odd it is.
Mm-hmm. Any other further comments from the committee? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Motion reads that the correspondence from circular materials regarding collection from IC&I locations be received for information.
Could I get a mover and seconder, please? Member Burkett, Member Cox, all in favor? Carried. Okay, moving on to item E 2.7, Coldwater BIA request to increase the BIA board to 7 members. Member Taylor.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I attended the AGM along with a few other councillors, and I don't see any reason why there's no harm in going from 5 to 7.
Any other comments from the committee? Member Minnings?
Thank you through the chair. I also support this request. However, as another positive, and it may be for consideration, Coldwater is our flagship community with the majority of the businesses, and I believe that most of Severn Township does gravitate towards Coldwater for maybe like my family, which was events and now is just like regular shopping and favorite stores, etc. With the BIA, and this is just a question because I don't know the answer, is there an opportunity to also have, as a way to support the BIA, a member of the community or an additional member or one of the members they're proposing in their expansion from the greater community to also lend support as a member? And failing that, is there an opportunity, if the committee is going to grow to this size, to have more than one member of council on that committee to help support? So in a way of just looking at other ways we may be able to support what they've proposed here, are there other ways we could potentially do that? Thank you.
Madam Clerk?
Thank you. So couple questions there. So the first one is about having someone from outside the BIA area that would not be permitted under the rules governing BIAs. So board members have to come from the BIA serviced area, and it's a geographic specific location and zone adopted by bylaw. With respect to composition, when it was 7 members last time, it was the ward councillor and the deputy mayor. So there were 2 council members and there were 5 BIA members. So we would need direction from council as to what they want that to be. Staff are, from my side, a little cautious. The BIA has had a difficult time keeping even 5 members this term, 4 being from the public. So going to a 7-member board creates a little bit of caution from my side as to how more frequently we could have member turnover with the board. We were already passing bylaws to reappoint the board 3 times this year so far. I know they have willing applicants now, but things happen, and maintaining that 7-member board is something from my side that I'd be concerned about as well, but that is a question more for the BIA. I appreciate where they're coming from, but there are 2 pieces there that we need from council. Council versus BIA member composition. Again, previously it was 2 council members and 5 from the BIA. And just wanted to make sure it was on note that we are a little concerned about the ability to sustain a 7-member board.
Member Burkett?
Thank you through the chair. So just curious, Member Jansen, you sit on that board, and I was at the meeting, but I had to leave. What was the rationale behind expanding it to 7? Was there a reason?
Yeah, so actually we've engaged in a few different meetings with the township. The BIA has, mainly because of the high turnover that we've had this year. We recently had another member resign, which kind of triggered those meetings to take place. So there were some suggestions. One was to lighten the load for the 5-member committee by adding an additional 2 members. Another was to add on contract a business manager to the BIA, and that could be somebody from outside the BIA. They'd be there on a contract there to assist with the functioning of the BIA. This was brought to the AGM. The members did pass two motions, I believe. I don't have them right in front of me. If I needed to, I could look them up. But one was to expand the BIA to a 7-member board. The other was to hire to contract a business manager to assist with the functioning of the BIA.
So supplementary, if I may, and thank you for that. What if, and I don't know if our procedural bylaw would allow it, but if they're looking for someone to contract out, would that member have a voting share on the committee? So then could they sit there and just have a 5-member board because of the turnover and contract this person out? I don't know what the procedural bylaw allows.
Madam Clerk?
Thank you. So the contracted employee, which is what they're looking to do, as a contracted third-party employee, would not be a voting member on the BIA. The rules are very specific as to who has a vote and who doesn't on the BIA. And it would actually be inappropriate for their contracted staff member to be a voting member.
Madam CAO, and I'll.
Yeah, I was just through you to Mayor Burkett, and the rules are municipal act rules. They're not township rules or our procedural bylaw. The BIAs are governed under the municipal act and is very prescriptive.
Supplementary, if I may. So the way I like, and I don't know, I'm looking at it from outside, but it looks like they want to hire this extra person. Does the municipal act allow this contracted person to be hired and remain as a 5-member board? And I don't know, like, I'm looking to Member Jansen for his input. Like if 7 is what you are looking for, but you're actually the extra 2, one would be a contracted person. No, that would be above and beyond. So it would actually be 8. Okay.
Okay.
Madam Clerk?
So right now the BIA has 5 members. If council did not approve this request, they would have a 5-member board plus a contracted staff. If council approved the request, they would have a 7-member board plus a contracted staff.
Member Brennan?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't at the meeting this year. Last year I was. I'm just not sure, like, why volunteers can't uptake, like, instead of 7, 5. I'm just not. I'd like to hear the rationale why additional volunteers can't pick up some of that. And secondly, who's paying for this contractor and their office space, et cetera, et cetera?
Madam CAO?
Yeah. Through the chair. So BIA again is very prescriptive. So they had their AGM and they passed a new levy. So that's why BIA board members have to be from within the geographic area, because they're all paying a fee through the BIA levy to be on that. So they increased their budget request, and that will be divvied out to the businesses that support the levy.
Budget request with members, not with us. Thank you.
Starts there and then it comes to council. Council doesn't usually, through the chair, get involved in the BIA's budget because it's an in and out in our books. They set what their fee is going to be and then how they're going to spend it.
Member Cox?
Yeah, through the chair, I believe that it should be 7. They're having trouble with 5, and they feel that they get 2 more people that will help them, and it has to be a business owner. It has to be someone, because their mandate is to promote the businesses in Coldwater, to bring people into Coldwater, and their mission statement to make memories and to, keep the downtown vibrant and encourage tourism. So I think what they're trying to do is to get more business owners involved and more enthusiastic, and that's probably a good idea. And hopefully, with these greater needs to become successful, they reach out into the community, and that's what you're talking about. They can reach out into the community and say, I'm in charge of beautification. Anybody interested in helping? Okay, we're having a meeting Tuesday night. Now my beautification committee's got 7 people on it. And that's what we used to do. So I'm hoping it goes back to that, because you can't do it yourself. You have to have other people come in, and these people are also doing other things, and so is everybody else. But anyway, I think doing it, let them give it a shot, and hopefully it will help and boost it. And hopefully this person, the event coordinator or whatever the person is called, actually will probably be taking over a lot of the three things they're looking at. So that's fine. That's up to them, and they're paying for it. Thank you.
Member McIntyre, then member Taylor, member Minnings, you had your hand up. Okay.
Thank you, through the chair. Two questions. The first one, is it a workload that the five cannot keep up with because there's much to do and not enough hands to do it? Firstly, and well, I'll get that question answered first from you, Chair, if you know.
Yeah, in my experience, it's quite a workload, especially when we're talking about the events, putting on the events in town. The idea again is this person would assist us with lightening that load, as well as having 7 people showing up at the event, guaranteed, because they're on the board to assist us day of when the event's taking place.
Just a follow-up. So is it a foregone conclusion that you're going to hire someone and pay through the members of the BIA? They're going to be paid, the fellow or woman will be paid by the BIA group?
As was mentioned earlier, the BIA membership did approve a new budget. The budget was increased by an amount that would support the contracting out of a staff member to assist the BIA in functioning in a better way.
Okay, and finally, just you'll need 4 to make a quorum with 7. Is that normal? Maybe the clerk or the CEO.
Madam Clerk.
Thank you. So if they move to a board of 7, then quorum becomes 4. So if council does want to approve this, I still need to know what the composition would be. Does council want it to be 2 members of council and 5 members of the BIA? Or do they want it to be 1 member of council being the Ward 1 is the current setup and 6 members from the BIA area?
Member Taylor?
Yeah, through the chair, just for interest, as of the AGM, there was 1 vacancy, plus they've got the other 2 filled already, assuming that it gets approved today. So that I would support 7 with 1 council member there. And so they're already planning and already have the positions filled. So I think it's their request. Let's, as the deputy mayor says, let's give them a chance to make this thing work. We want to make it work and not outwork anybody.
If I can just comment to that, yes, there's 1 vacant position, and on a composition of 7, there would be 3 vacancies, and 3 members did put their names forward. There are some new businesses in the downtown Coldwater area. 2 of the members that put their names forward are new business owners on the main strip that came in within the past year. Member Minnings.
Thank you. And yes, I would agree with what they're asking for in the letter, the increase to their membership. They know their board, and I don't. The fact that they've had turnaround in the last 3 years is not indicative of the businesses or the board or anything. Being on boards is not for everybody. And I think that's part of any kind of cycle of board membership. I like that people will have their own streams, or sort of the members will be clearly defined with an increased membership. And then if they do what Member Cox suggested and reach out across the township for volunteers, et cetera, whatever support they need, that's one thing. I also know they're likely going to be watching or at the meeting, and that if they do want to bring something forward that was discussed to a future ask, such as, again, having the deputy mayor on the BIA, et cetera, that there is some other opportunities. But I see this as a good thing, and we're strengthening that that community, the new businesses, and churn is not a negative thing necessarily. They've done their homework and their fact finding. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. I do note that there's only 1 year left to the council term, so this BIA board will run until the end of current term, and then as with all our boards and committees, come back to council at the starting term for recruitment and solicitation, so for members and such like that. So if this is successful, the 7-member board will go to end of current term. The 3 names that I know that the chair has will come forward to the November 5th council meeting for council to consider in closed session. And then after that, if they are comfortable with appointing them, then they will come forward for bylaw that same day.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any further comments from the committee? Seeing none, could we have a motion, please?
Certainly, the motion reads that the correspondence from the Coldwater BA regarding request to increase BA board to 7 members be received, and that the request be approved with 1 council appointee being the ward councillor and 6 BA appointees from the membership.
Could I get a mover and seconder, please? Member Taylor, Member Cox, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. We've got no new business, no closed session. Could I get a motion to adjourn, please?
It's a motion to adjourn at 10:44.
Could I get a mover and seconder, please? Member Member Burkett, Member Taylor, all in favor? Carried.